I never imagined that I would end up playing this game Peak, because I am not a fan of any game that I can just repeatedly fall to my death lower and lower and lower and lower, like Only Up, which I absolutely hated because it made my blood boil. Not a bad game, neither is Peak, just not my style. But then I started playing Peak a little bit, and I realized that it's actually quite fun. But there are some things that when I started, I kind of wish I knew. Now, obviously, this is more of a game that you're just supposed to play and enjoy with your friends or try to get to the peak solo. Just kind of like Repo, where there isn't really like a set path, and a lot of guides are not very helpful because it's all dependent on the procedurally generated world in front of you, and you have to hope for the best. Let's get into some of my beginner's tips and tricks for Peak, and just a little bit of advice for those that are starting out and are not good at these games like I'm not. One of the biggest mistakes that I made was trying to loot everything and load it into my backpack or keep it on my person. Don't do that. Learn from my mistakes, and don't just pick everything up, be selective. There are certain items that are extremely crucial or extremely helpful along the way, but 90% of the stuff is kind of just not necessary, like the compass that you can grab right at the start of the game. I never really thought that it was important, but it can be in very limited situations, but honestly, it's just not worth the encumbered state that you get put in or the bag space. So I just don't recommend using it at all and leave it where it lies inside of the plane wreckage. Same goes for the plushie, obviously. Not necessary if you'd like to cuddle it while you cry yourself to sleep at night because of this game, absolutely bring it with you. But as for a survival tool, it is just not necessary. Same thing goes with food. While food is extremely important, yes, and you are going to need to eat to get to the top, especially if you hurt yourself. Do not overstuff your bag with coconuts. They're heavy and hard to carry, so it's going to encumber you and give you less stamina in the long run. Just grab really good food items. This would include things like honeycomb, which is a great health boost if you are getting your face kicked in by everything around you. You aren't always going to get beehives or bees, so if you do happen to see them, definitely grab some if you can, because I didn't, and now today, the procedurally generated world did not have any. Another good one is the granola bars. They are not only great for health, but they give you a boost to your secondary energy bar, which is great. And some of the berries are easy to just chomp down fast to give yourself a little bit of a boost in that extra energy bar. So definitely grab something and eat it on the way. Do not just stockpile everything like an angry, hungry raccoon. Other important items that you should always keep with you if you see them is anything that looks like a chain gun, a rope gun, anything that can help you traverse upward faster. Always try to keep something like that on you, because if not, you're going to be at a point in the game where you're so close to the summit and you end up dying because you just didn't have enough stamina, or you took too much fall damage just a few minutes before. You have poison damage and it's cold, so the wind's blowing and it's killing you on top of the poison damage. Always try to keep something up your sleeve for those situations, which a chain gun, number one, my favorite thing in the game so far. Definitely keep that. This is less of a tip or trick and more of a warning. Now, I was at the summit. I was at the peak, prime of my life, waiting for my friend Ruthless to make his way up. He was so close, yet so far. And all of a sudden, my screen got dim, spoopy, and I didn't know what was going on. I've never seen it before. Grainy textured screen, and it just got kind of dark. When out of nowhere, from the right corner of my eye, from my ocular stem, do I see a terrifying 7 to 8 foot tall man in a hat and a backpack with a skeletal-like face charging towards me at full speed. Now, do I know where he came from or why? No, I don't. So I cannot tell you how to avoid him. What I can say is that if he catches you, he's going to pick you up like something out of WWE and throat slam you onto the floor, which is what happens here. As you see, I just got absolutely demolished. Do I know why? No, I didn't provoke him. I don't know who he is. But he acted like I owed him money, and that's just what it is. Do I know how to avoid him? No. Do I understand why he spawned? No. But I'm pretty sure it's because I made it to the top so much sooner than my friend that it had to try to screw me over before my friend got to the top because, well, I was just chilling at the peak. I cannot confirm that 100%, but I'm just going to say if your screen starts to get grainy and you start to feel as if something is just wrong, It is. And turn around and run in the opposite direction. Climb down. I don't know how to avoid him. I couldn't avoid him. I tried to run, but he was much faster. So I would just say, try to stay with your friends, just in case that was the reason that he spawned. And if that's not the reason, try to outrun him, but you're probably not going to. Maybe that's where the blowgun that you get sometimes comes in handy. Not quite sure, but there was nothing I could do. So this is just a warning, less of a tip and trick. I didn't know he existed, and maybe you didn't either, and this can save you from a very scary, almost near-death encounter with a skeletal man that looks like a Boy Scout. Next tip is going to be always scout a path before you just decide to aimlessly climb. Now, I know that that sounds super easy and smart and like, oh, duh, well, obviously, Venom, I've been doing that. Okay, well, coming from someone that doesn't play games like this, I didn't do that. I would just be like, oh, this looks like it goes up. And then I would go up, and in fact, it did not go up. It was a dead end, a wall, or I fell into a crevice that I didn't know existed. Always scout ahead. And make sure that the path that you're going to take is at least a decent one that can get you somewhere semi-better than where you are now. Because the idea, you're never going to find something that just leads perfectly to the top, straight up, no kind of obstacles, you're perfect, everything's great. It's always going to be a difficult climb. And that's the point of the game. It's not supposed to be simple. It's not supposed to be a linear path. But always try to scout and make a plan, like, okay, this leads to here, this vine leads me up to this point, which then leads me to this tree that I can climb. Just always kind of make a plan. It probably always won't work out, and that's okay. But just, if you have a plan, most of the time it goes better. Because I never made it as far as I did when I started making a plan of action as to, let me get on the high ground and see what path looks best before I just aimlessly climb and pray that I don't fall to my death. My next little tidbit of information is that when you get to the third region, so that's going to be the one that is icy cold, there are two important things that you need to manage. Not only do you need to manage your other worldly things, such as hunger and encumberment, etc., but there are two key things that you need to manage, and that is your cold bar, is what I'm gonna call it. It's just you're cold. You're chilly. It's freezing up there. There are blizzards that occur, it seems, like every second. It's not every second. It's like every 15 to 20 seconds. So you have to climb in short bursts. Now, when I first got here, because I had never made it this far, I did not understand, like, oh, you can hide from this. I just thought, like, oh, it's obviously not gonna kill me. Not true. It will kill you. Look at my body. Look what's happening to me. It will kill you. So just avoid standing out in the cold for prolonged periods, especially when the wind starts blowing. Now, of course, that's easier said than done because there's not a lot of places to hide sometimes. It's very open in certain areas. This is my best recommendation. If you see a cave, go inside of it and see if there's a way up. Because for me, if you look here, there were the little hand grabby boys, is what I call them, hand grabby boys on the wall. And these were just inside of a cave. Had I not gone in here, I wouldn't have seen these. And it made it so much easier to climb up because there were already these things here. I didn't have to map a pathway up. It was just kind of laid out for me. So that's tip number one, is if you're in this cold biome, if you make it here, use the caves to your advantage. Number two, stay near trees. Trees are huge here because they block you from that ungodly cold that will kill you way faster than I thought it would. If you see trees in abundance in a certain spot as you're climbing, take that route. Always take the route with the trees because they provide perfect cover from that blizzard and will stop you from meeting an untimely end if you are traversing and attempting to make it to the top. And lastly, now this one is not for people like me who have no friends. This is for people that have friends. And so if that doesn't apply to you, which it doesn't apply to me, so don't feel bad. If it doesn't apply to you, then it is what it is. But my next tip would be always play with a friend. I know that's hard. Solo is super easy too. Solo is just, the same thing. You gotta kind of make your way up. But with friends, you have an advantage. You have a very, very big advantage when you play with friends because they can grab you if you're about to slip and fall to your death into a crevice. I didn't have that here. As you see, here I go. I didn't have that here. So I was not able to have someone pull me up. The other advantage is that if you die, if you don't make it for any reason whatsoever, you still have a shot at getting revived at the top. Perfect example is me here with Ruthless. We're playing together and he died and I resurrected him when we got to the next biome. So I was able to bring him in for the cold biome with me. So it was just a lot easier with another person. Now, very rarely do I have someone to play games like this with me. So it's hard for me to say, like, it's easier with friends, bring a friend, because I don't always have that either. But I definitely recommend if you have even one other person, you don't have to have a squad of people, you know, like Call of Duty or something, but you definitely should have at least one person with you because it makes things a lot easier. And if you don't, then for the love of God, don't make the mistakes that I mentioned here by yourself. Just be careful, map things out, don't over encumber yourself, focus on having the most amount of energy possible. I recommend before even leaving that first or second area, so either the shore area or the tropics area, stock up and eat as much food that gives you a second energy bar as humanly possible. I know the fog rises quickly, so that's easier said than done, but just a huge thing. Look around for any food like the sports drinks, that's not a food, that's a drink, whatever. That gives you a giant chunk of that extra energy bar. Granola bars give you a small boost of energy for that larger energy bar. Grab as much food at the start and eat it to gain energy bar extra energy bar as often as you can at the start. Don't over encumber yourself, don't bring it with you. If it gives you that extra energy bar, eat it immediately and then move on. My last tip and or trick to you is going to be careful what you eat. Not all foods in this game are made equal. Some of them are out to get you. Some foods just want you to die. And so you need to be careful as to what you ingest. Prime example is there are 2 types of button mushrooms. There are good button mushrooms that if you eat, perfectly fine, no harm done. And then there are mushrooms that are called button mushrooms that if they have a speckled top, they poison you. It's very hard to differentiate what foods are good for you and what aren't. So I'm going to tell you what foods to actively eat that I know for a fact will not hurt you, and then some of the ones that I know will hurt you. Red crisp berries, so they're apples. The red apples is what they look like. These are perfectly fine to eat. The green ones, no. Throw it. Throw it away, put it down. Don't touch it, don't think about it, don't look at it. Those are poisonous, and it takes a second for the poison to kick in, so when I first tried them, I was like, oh, this is fine. Nope. 3 seconds later, my health was being totally obliterated by poison. So red crisp apples are fine. Green, no. Kingberries, the green kingberries that are inside of the tropics, they are safe, I think, when they are cooked only. I ate one when they were raw, and it poisoned me. So I'm going to assume that certain ones have to be cooked, and that is one of them. Another one is the button mushroom that has the X on the top. That apparently is perfectly safe. The one that has a speckled top is not. If you find a cure-all, keep it. Put it in your backpack. Encumber yourself for a cure-all. Absolutely. Antidote, same thing. If you have the option to keep the antidote and or a cure-all with you at all times, do so. They are very rare and hard to find, but those are extremely important, especially when you get to like the 3rd and 4th biome. You want something like that with you because it's so easy to get poisoned, it's so easy to harm yourself by accident from falling, and a cure-all will negate some of that damage and negate the poison. It's a literal cure-all, and the antidote is mainly made for poisons, and a lot more poison is all over the place in the upper levels. So I definitely recommend if you find one, that is absolutely worth putting in your backpack. That's going to do it for this guide on just being slightly prepared for what's to come in Peak. Of course, the world changes in that game every 24 hours, meaning that you will not get the same map twice after you have completed it the day prior. So it's procedurally generated, things change, layouts change, the items change, the food layout changes, so just be prepared for a different map every day that you play, and use these tips to help you make it through those maps. And if you like the video, as always, like the video. If you like my content in general, then please subscribe to my channel because it means the absolute world to me. And I will see you in the next one. Bye!